Hey guys, Kirsty here, and today I'm making an Ethiopian stew. It's called a peanut soup, and it has the berberry spice added into it. And I'm just kind of taking what I like out of all the recipes I found and then putting it all together in mine. And with all these flavors, it's really good. I've made it maybe 3 or 4 times. And it's already vegan, so it doesn't need any adapting. And you can pick and choose like what sorts of things. If you have one recipe said to add chard or kale, and so today I'm adding kale. And we are also not making it spicy because we have a little kiddo and he does not like spicy. So I'm just going to be adding pepper and paprika instead of I think the berberry spice calls for chili powder or something like that, and it would be, normally it is traditionally very spicy, and it's really amazing that way, so I might be adding a little bit of my own spice to it after it's made. And also after it's made, speaking of, if you have cilantro, you can add that on top. It's really good that way. You just don't want to cook the cilantro. So we're gonna get started, and it's also this is gonna be another Crockpot recipe. You could make it on the stove easily, but I think the Crockpot makes it a little bit easier. So here we go. Okay, so to start, we're gonna start with our spice mix. I don't want to forget all the ingredients that I found. So this is just an adaptation. It's not going to be exactly the same as if you were to find, you can find berberry spice mix at certain stores if you can find Ethiopian food. We don't have any of those around here, and we do have pretty much all the spices. So actually I'm using a combination of the ones that I like from certain recipes, and then I'm adapting it to make it less spicy. So to start, we are grinding up, we need ground fenugreek. So I have about a teaspoon of fenugreek and then a 1/4 teaspoon of coriander. We're gonna grind that up, and then we're gonna add in some black pepper, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we're pretty much all ground up. You don't actually have to, you could always skip on the fenugreek, but that is pretty available at most stores. And also, fun fact about fenugreek is that it will make your sweat smell like maple syrup if you eat a little bit of it, not too much. I think it takes like maybe a tablespoon or maybe even just a teaspoon. So that's kind of interesting. Also, Dr. Greger did a video on fenugreek, so I'll list that below with all the benefits. It's pretty neat for a spice, and I know it has some health benefits. So anyways, also if you don't have a mortar and pestle, then you can just throw it in the blender if your blender is dry. It is a pain to scrape out the stuff from the blender and to get it all. But it's, yeah, either way, you can do it that way or the other way. Okay, so we're going to add the other spices into the mix. So I don't have cloves, but I'm adding the other ones. We're doing some ground cardamom. So I'm gonna say, let's see, about a 1/2 teaspoon of that, because that stuff's strong. And all these are, yeah, pretty much all these are. So we are doing cinnamon, a little bit of cinnamon, probably a 1/4 teaspoon, and then some nutmeg, like a pinch or 2 pinches maybe, because that stuff is very strong. And it does add a really pleasant flavor to the mix. So for that, let's see, that is pretty much all of it. We're gonna put in, oh, and then the paprika. This is my alteration, so if you want, if you like spicy, then go for it and add chili powder. If you don't, then just, I'm adding paprika for the chili flavor still, but not the spice. So I'm gonna do, that was about a 1.5 teaspoons in there. We're gonna guess. Okay, and that is pretty much the berberry spice except for the ginger. We're gonna chop up some ginger and some garlic, and then we're gonna get started on the rest of the veggies. And we have our party tray of stuff, and I've added 5 cloves of garlic, chopped and minced, and it's also, there's another Dr. Greger video about mincing your garlic or chopping it beforehand for about 10 minutes, letting it sit, and that is the best way to get your, I'm not sure what, it ups the benefits from the garlic. And so I've also added the ginger underneath. I'd say it was about a tablespoon and a half of chopped ginger in there, and it was like a small thumb of ginger. So we also have, this was roughly chopped 2 cups of cabbage. It was a little less than a half of a head of cabbage. That's just what's gonna fit in the crock pot. And then I did a medium sweet potato. This is a Japanese sweet potato, so it's purple. You could add the other type. Either one is, it's got the similar, not the same flavor, but they're both really good. And that's what we had available. Then we're doing about a cup of carrots chopped roughly, and then 1 medium purple onion. And also we're gonna chop up all this kale, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all together. Okay, so I was chopping up the kale and I remembered another Dr. Greger video about cooking your kale, and that they found that steaming or cooking in soups, the longer the better, and then it makes certain nutrients and vitamins more absorbable. So I'll link that one too, I just thought of that. So I just chopped up, it was about a half a bunch of kale, and that makes like maybe a cup and a half, 2 cups if you, 1 cup if you cram it in there. And then I added about a half of a teaspoon of pepper along with the spice mix, the berberry. So we've got all that sitting in there, and then we're gonna add our kale. And you could actually substitute the cabbage for the kale or vice versa. I like both, so we're just gonna go with it and do this. Add the rest of that. There's our cabbage, and let's see here. Woo. Using both hands. Okay, we are filling this thing up. And the carrots and the onions. All right, we didn't fill it up too much. I'm good at that, like overfilling the crock pot. If it's right at the line, it's usually like, if it's right there, it's okay, but some stuff will boil over, so just be careful. Yeah. All right, so we have the spice mix. Now on top of the spice mix, we're also gonna add turmeric to the soup because that's in the recipe. So I'm gonna do a tablespoon of turmeric because we like turmeric around here. And then I'm also gonna add a can of tomato paste, and then I'm gonna say about 6 cups of water, whatever it takes to fill to about there. Yeah, and then we're gonna add our peanut butter. That is like the main thing. So we're also gonna be making it a little bit low fat. So we're gonna add peanut butter, but then we also have this organic peanut butter powder. And this is still, it isn't fat-free, but it's, 90% less fat than traditional peanut butter. So it'll add more peanut butter flavor without adding as much of the fat. So I figured I'm gonna add a lot of that to this soup, and then for Hunter, we might add some more peanut butter to his because he loves peanut butter and he doesn't need to, we don't need to restrict on fats, right? Okay, so we got this thing loaded up. I filled it a little bit more. I added the rest of the cabbage, so that makes it in total a half a head of cabbage. It was about a medium small cabbage. I did the turmeric is right there. There was the tablespoon, excuse me, and the tomato paste is right there. And then I did about a half a cup of peanut butter, and then another half a cup of the peanut butter powder. So you could, substitute that just with peanut butter, or just, keep it at that. It's up to you guys. I think this will make it taste even more peanutty. And we are ready to add our water. Hunter says we're done. He wants to go. We're gonna go ride our tricycle, or his tricycle outside. So here's the water. I have 6 cups. So let's see. I want to fill it to the top of the level of the veggies. Let's get that. Oh, perfect. There we go. That's where we want the water level. It's above all the veggies and stuff. And then I'm just gonna let this cook as is. I'm gonna put the lid on and then stir it up later, just because I don't want to stir things too much. The water will combine it and it'll mix pretty much all on its own, and yeah, all I need to do now is turn it on high for, I'm gonna say about 6 hours again. I might let it go for about 8 hours. We'll see. So I'm also adding 3 small bright red chopped tomatoes into the stew, and it is looking pretty good. It's all stirred together, and then there's some more room for tomatoes in there, so why not? I'm gonna get started on the rice in just a minute too, because that takes about 45 minutes. And we're almost there. I mean, it could be eaten now, but it's just gonna condense and cook a little more and soften things up a little bit. Everything's cooked though. You can see the kale is totally like melted. Okay, so we added about a 1/4 cup of sugar, coconut sugar or cane sugar. I did the cane sugar. And then I put a little bit of cayenne pepper on top, like less than a pinch of it, because it is spicy. I tasted it to make sure it was cayenne pepper, and my tongue is still burning. So it'll be fine all mixed in together. And then I added a little black pepper, and then there's the cilantro on top. Hunter already dug in. He really liked it without the spice and stuff, so I'm excited to try it for myself.